Hello besties and welcome to another Genshin theory! I actually had a totally different video planned for this week. I had it all recorded and some of it edited already, but yesterday the 3.0 trailer dropped so I had to switch plans. That video will be out next week, but today we've got to talk about Sumeru. The trailer opens with the voice asking us if we've heard of Erminsul before.
Have you heard of Erminsul before?
I could be wrong, but I think this voice is Tignari's. Erminsuls are white trees whose roots reach down to the abyss and connect to the ley lines. You can easily find them in domains, although some exist in Dragonspine and the Chasm. Tignari goes on to completely change the subject, bringing up the Dendro Archon, saying that the Dendro Archon is known as the God of Wisdom because her consciousness is directly connected to it. We can assume this to be about Lesser Lord Kusanali, who is the God of Wisdom and current Dendro Archon. But then, while presumably speaking about the same person, someone else says that she disappeared in a great calamity a few hundred years ago. There's no question that this is in reference to the cataclysm that destroyed the underground kingdom of Conria 500 years ago. We know that the previous Dendro Archon Ruka Devata died in the war from unknown causes, but they're saying this like Kusanali was the one who died. He's talking about the God of Wisdom here, not the God of the Woods. These clips could be taken out of context and there could be more dialogue in between lines in the real Archon quest, but I think that would be a really odd editing choice for the trailer. Keep that in mind, we'll come back to that later. We hear talk of the Sabzeruz festival throughout the trailer.
It's Lesser Lord Kusanali's birthday. Nilou's Dance of Sabzeruz is about to begin. The most important performance at the Sabzeruz festival.
This holiday commemorates the birth of Kusanali. They talk about her as if she's the country's collective child that they're all raising together. Nilou says that she wants to make the birthday girl feel loved on her special day. That's quite a juvenile way to refer to a 500-year-old deity. Earlier, when we're being told background information on the two Dendro Archons, it said that the sages found the newly born Dendro Archon and whisked her back to Sumeru. This implies that she was but a helpless baby, outranked by even humans in the academia. The people of Sumeru seem to generally like Kusanali more than people in other countries like their respective deities. In Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, Fontaine, and Snezhnaya, there are plenty of dissenters to the Archons, especially in Inazuma. That was literally what the entire plot of the whole country was about. So it's rare to see everyone in the country come together in not just respect, but love for their god. Later, in between playable character introductions for Collei and Tignari, we learn about something called the Withering. This is a phenomenon in Sumeru's rainforest that causes plants to die and fade away without explanation. An ominous aura in the nation of Dendro has been hinted at for a while now. This screenshot is from a Marvelous Merchandise event all the way back in May of this year. It's August now. I think the Withering is the bad vibe that everyone's been talking about. Plants are dying left and right for no reason in the one place you'd think they'd thrive. That obviously can't be good. Then we're told about two important pieces of technology, the Akasha Terminal and the Divine Knowledge Capsule.
It's called an Akasha Terminal. It's a tool produced by the academia that utilizes the legacy of Greater Lord Ruka Devata.
You may use an Akasha Terminal to connect directly to the Akasha and access any knowledge you need.
The Divine Knowledge Capsule should be up for a secret auction within the next few days. Use it, and you'll gain the wisdom of the gods. I need you to find someone, a traveling merchant.
The Akasha Terminal lets you access any knowledge you need by connecting to the Akasha. Akasha is a Sanskrit word that references a supposed plane of existence somewhere out of human bounds where a record of the past is imprinted. It's said that Greater Lord Ruka Devata's power fuels the Akasha Terminal despite their death 500 years ago. I think this terminal will act like the mirages in the Summertime Odyssey event. It makes reference to a real-life religious idea of a different space, so I think it would be cool for you to go somewhere else upon connecting to the terminal. Maybe you would enter this mirage and see past events play out in person, kinda like the Fantastic Compass and Perilous Trail or the Imaging Conches in the 2.8 Golden Apple Archipelago. All we know about the Divine Knowledge Capsule is that if you use it, you will access the wisdom of the gods. The capsule can be gained in a secret auction implied to be run by Dori. As far as we know, Dori is a normal human, so I have no idea how she got her hands on something that important. But if she's trying to get rid of it while knowing how powerful it is, there must be something wrong with it. Time and time again, we've seen people's lives threatened because they know too much. Guizhong and Urabashi both died likely because they were too smart for their own good, and Lisa is on her way to the same fate. Dori might have been scared to open the capsule and opted to sell it instead. The wisdom of the gods is something we've already learned, at least partially. At the end of the Mondstadt Archon quest, Venti tells us about allogenes. He says that only the gods know about this concept, yet we've been told it anyway and there aren't any visible repercussions for it. But as always, we're not of this world and the rules don't apply to us. If we were to open the Divine Knowledge Capsule, and I'm sure we will, I don't think we're going to be the ones getting hurt. Instead, I think somebody else will, maybe someone who's around when we open it. There seems to be a lot of resentment towards Kusanali just for her existence. On one hand, the people of Sumeru love her and want to take care of her, but on the other, they miss Rukkhadevata and direct those negative emotions to Kusanali. Kusanali was literally born as a replacement for Rukkhadevata, so maybe she feels the same way too. As much as Sumeru loves Kusanali, she is not Rukkhadevata and she never will be. An unknown voice says, "Mark my words, our god shall return," and condescendingly tells us to go celebrate the birth of that god. I think we'll see Kusanali feeling guilty and unworthy of her power in the Archon quests. It's not her fault that her predecessor died, but she can never live up to their legacy and she'll always feel like a disappointment. In an attempt to win back the favor of her people, I think Kusanali has created a huge mirage throughout the entire country. At the end of the Summertime Odyssey quest, it's revealed that Kusanali was the one who created these mirages. She says that she's been aware of us for a while and she just wanted us to have fun. Kusanali sees these mirages as a positive thing for the people living within them, but all of the mirages we've witnessed so far have given people bad experiences. The 4 mirages in Summertime Odyssey targeted the recipient's negative feelings. Kazuha's family burden, Shinyan's struggle to fit in, Fischl's internal battle between reality and fiction, and Mona's conflicting feelings about her occupation. Although everyone was able to work past their issues in the end, the mirages were overall a stressful experience for the people they were about. Although her intentions were good, Kusanali accidentally added more negativity to these people's lives, at least in the moment. So, I think Sumeru's whole rainforest is just one big mirage and the whole country is actually a desert. There's a brief moment in the trailer where we see a tree fading away like it was never there in the first place. In the Tevat chapter storyline preview trailer, Dainsleif tells us that the god of wisdom's enemy is wisdom itself and the oasis of knowledge is a mirage in the desert of ignorance. This is all said in one sentence, meaning that those two thoughts are related to each other. Like I said before, knowing too much is a death sentence. Kusanali must know that, and to protect her people, she created a fake version of the academia that existed before her birth in order to make sure nobody dies on her watch. She thinks she's helping, but the mirage is unraveling and people are starting to figure out what's going on. That's why there are so many people upset with Kusanali these days. The withering we see in the rainforest is the mirage falling apart. Since the plants were never there in the first place, they fade away in an unnatural way that leaves normal people confused and clueless. We hear Paimon say that she thinks something big outside of the city is being hidden on purpose. That something big is probably just the real world. Sumeru City is in the rainforest, detached from the desert. The desert is the real part of Sumeru outside of the mirage. That's why there's such a huge divide between people in the rainforest and people in the desert. Kusanali probably doesn't want people to leave the mirage because if they do, she can't keep them safe from the fate of learning too much and dying because of it. Kusanali herself may be some kind of mirage too. There's so much talk about Rukkhadevata in this trailer. People talk about them like they expect the old Archon to come back at any moment, but Rukkhadevata, the god of the woods, died in Khaenri'ah 500 years ago. There isn't a chance of them coming back. However, there is a chance that they created a replacement in their final moments. The Primordial One created 4 shades of itself before warring with the second who came. I believe that the Primordial One died in that war, but their shades did not. That means that somewhere out there, there's someone carrying on the will of the Primordial One, the original god. Rukkhadevata was clearly also well liked in Sumeru. Some people there haven't even stopped worshipping them, and they've been dead for hundreds of years. They must have wanted somebody equally as caring and likable as themselves to replace them in the future. So when they died, they created a shade of themselves, which became the god of wisdom, Lesser Lord Kusanali. That, or Kusanali, is a reincarnation of some kind. I don't mean she's literally just Rukkhadevata reborn, but some part of her is. The beginning of the trailer mentions Irminsul trees, which are connected to ley lines. In the 3 countries we've explored so far, there have been trees that are linked to deceased people who were close to the Archons. The symbol of Mondstadt's hero is connected to Vanessa, Dragonqueller is connected to Agedaha, and the sacred Sakura is connected to Makoto. These 3 were very good friends of the Archons, actually family in Makoto's case. Their deaths are linked to these trees. The sacred Sakura and Dragonqueller only exist because those people died. The ley lines have some connection to the afterlife, and these remarkable trees show up when powerful figures are no longer alive. When Rukkhadevata died, a tree may not have shown up. Instead, it was a new god related to trees. Kusanali may have been born from a ley line disorder caused by Rukkhadevata's death. Either way, Rukkhadevata didn't account for the rainforest when they died. They were the god of the woods, so their power likely maintained the original rainforest in Sumeru. But when they died, so did all of the plant life there. To make up for what was lost, Kusanali created a new rainforest, but since she's so young and not as powerful as her predecessor, she couldn't fully do it. Instead, she created the mirage of the rainforest that we see today. Since tensions are ramping up in Sumeru, especially in relation to her birthday and the death anniversary of Ruka Devata, Kusanali is likely stressed out and unable to maintain the mirage as well as she normally would. Because of that, we see the withering happening throughout the forest. It even gets so bad that it takes out an entire huge tree, not just little flowers. At the very end of the story section of the trailer, we hear an unknown voice murmur, "The world forget me."
The world forget me.
I could be wrong, but I think this is Kusanali's voice. This is likely an excerpt from her confession of guilt. She too wants to fade away with her mirage. She feels bad for being a replacement for Ruka Devata and that her birthday really just symbolizes their death. After all, Kusanali would not have been born if not for the death of the previous Dendro Archon. She probably feels bad that she's so young and powerless in comparison. She feels bad that the people of her country take care of her, not vice versa, the way it should be. I don't think Kusanali will actually disappear with the mirage, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw her try to. No matter how hard she tries to be a good Archon for Sumeru, it will never feel like enough. I think the stress of that is crushing her and she no longer has the emotional energy to keep the facade of the rainforest up. When we see the withering, it's not due to any external forces. It's happening because of Kusanali's sadness. The mirages we saw in Summertime Odyssey were also heavily tied to people's negative emotions. Why would this time be any different? Forgive me if this video isn't perfect. I upload a video every Sunday, and I normally have the whole week to make one, but I did this video in one day. From scripting to uploading, it only took a couple hours, so some stuff might be off. I just had to get this video out as soon as possible because I really want to talk about Sumeru. I feel like the story I've come up with is so sad, but I think it actually makes a lot of sense for where Genshin is going. This isn't the happy game we started with in Mondstadt. Things have been getting really dark lately, so I could totally see Kusanali's depression literally tearing a country apart. But let me know what you guys think about the trailer. I read every single one of your comments, so tell me your theories and I'll definitely get to them. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye, besties!